Gerstlauer is a German manufacturer specializing in compact, thrilling roller coasters. Their signature model is the Eurofighter. They're also known for their infinity coasters. They also have a range of family coasters that they offer, but in this video, I'll be counting down my 10 favorite Gerstlauers that I have had the opportunity to experience. And so I do gotta mention, there are some rides out there that they have done that I have not ridden, but I have been fortunate enough to do a lot of their main attractions. You know, those signature rides that people always think of when they think of Gerstlauer. They've certainly got some great ones out there, so let's kick things off with the number 10 spot, which is Daredevil Dive at Six Flags Over Georgia. And this is interesting because this is a Eurofighter with a different train design than most. Typically, they're 4 across with 2 rows, so very small cars, but here you have 2 across with 3 rows in what is also a fairly unconventional layout. A lot of Eurofighters do start off with that vertical lift hill and beyond vertical drop, which Daredevil Dive absolutely has. You'll spend a lot of your time twisting around yourself. There's a couple of inversions. It's a very smooth experience. They've done a great job of maintaining this ride because it is still glass smooth to this day, but it's certainly not that intense. Definitely one of the more milder Eurofighters out there, but still enjoyable enough to make the cut. At the number 9 spot, we have Saw the Ride at Thorpe Park. And what really makes this ride stand out so much is the demented theme. As you can imagine, it's themed to the Saw films, so it gets pretty dark. I mean, there's spinning blades there. You just feel like you're gonna get decapitated or something. It's pretty messed up. But it is a cool experience. Very steep first drop at 100 degrees, 3 different inversions, and unlike Daredevil Dive, this is a fairly intense ride. I think you could definitely make an argument for this being the best ride at Thorpe Park. At the number 8 spot, we have our first infinity coaster. This is HANGTIME at Knott's Berry Farm. Like Daredevil Dive, this is a very smooth experience, and I keep on mentioning whether the ride is smooth or not just because some Gerstlauers have a reputation for being rougher, and we'll certainly see that as we get further ahead on this list, but that doesn't mean that they can't do smooth roller coasters because HANGTIME certainly is a glass smooth experience. If you're unfamiliar with the difference between an infinity coaster and a Eurofighter, essentially this is a larger model. It's also got longer trains. HANGTIME has 4 different rows, each with 4 across. 5 different inversions. This is one of the most picturesque rides I think ever built. The color scheme and just the way that it fits within the Knott's Berry Farm boardwalk section is incredible. And the ride looks even better at night. Do not miss out on a night ride on HANGTIME. And speaking of great night rides, just 1 spot ahead of it is another infinity coaster in America, Monster at Adventureland. This one actually came before HANGTIME, and ironically features a lot more HANGTIME than HANGTIME. There are some moments here where the ride vehicle really just kind of stalls out, where your body is left dangling. It's a very strange sensation, so the pacing is really just kind of all over the place on this ride. But it's a nice long experience, really cool unique ride, something that Adventureland really needed. And as I mentioned earlier, seeing this ride at night is nothing short of incredible. We need more of these Gerstlauers with this KCL light package because it just looks way too good. At number 6, we have the only Gerstlauer from Asia to make this list. It is TAKABISHA, formerly the world's steepest roller coaster at FUJI-Q HIGHLAND. Now, when I rode this, it was the world's steepest coaster. It got beat out by half a degree from 121 to 121.5. But this is a great ride. I mean, it looks absolutely stellar. This is actually a Eurofighter model, probably the largest Eurofighter out there, or at least tied for the largest. Unlike most of the rides on this list, this one features a lift hill and a launch. You actually start out with the launch, and then the lift hill with that beyond vertical drop is in the second half of the ride. So it's a really long experience, tons of inversions, some really unique moments like the banana roll, and overall one of those rides that just is almost mesmerizing to watch. But didn't quite make the top 5. What did make the top 5 though is an exact clone of TAKABISHA, and that is TMNT SHELLRAISER, the ride that beat it out. It is now the world's steepest roller coaster with a 121.5 degree drop. And even though it is the same ride, the reason why I've put it slightly ahead, one, as you can see, it is indoors, which makes it very cool. It intertwines with another ride, which is just amazing that they managed to squeeze something like that in. It has an awesome light package by KCL, which I can't help but love. If there is a downside, I did feel like SHELLRAISER was rougher than TAKABISHA. If you ride in the second row as opposed to the front row, I do think it's not as bad. But overall, as a ride experience, I thought that SHELLRAISER was really cool. Seeing a ride that big shoved indoors is just amazing to see. Taking the number 4 spot is KARACHO at TRIPSDRILL in Germany. This is a ride that really exceeded my expectations. I didn't know basically anything about it before going in. But let me tell you, it had some great surprises. It was super smooth, great layout, and it has like the world's greatest animatronic as you're getting off the ride. And TRIPSDRILL itself is just an absolutely gorgeous theme park, and the location of this ride really is incredible, so everything about it is just great. So now we've made it to the top 3. At the number 3 spot, we have FLUCH von Novgorod at HANSA Park in Germany. Now the name translates to Curse of Novgorod. It's very much a medieval castle-like theme, and this ride is half indoors, half outdoors. And like TAKABISHA and SHELLRAISER, it features a lift hill and a launch. I think partially what really made this ride was the amazing theming. Much like KARACHO, I didn't really know anything about it going in, and it just absolutely exceeded my expectations. It also features one of the most powerful launches in the world. The rate of acceleration is ridiculous. It is so snappy, and it very much reminded me of a Gerstlauer that I'm used to riding all the time, Mystery Mine at Dollywood, which, spoiler alert, does not make this list. I feel like this ride just did what Mystery Mine was trying to do so much better. I absolutely love this thing. Coming in at the number 2 spot is the Smiler at Alton Towers. This is a huge infinity coaster, currently holds the record for the most inversions on one ride at 14. Essentially, it's 2 roller coasters in one. 2 different lift hills breaking the ride up into 2 sections, each section featuring 7 inversions. And this ride really is a masterpiece when you realize how much track is shoved into this tight space, how they managed to weave everything in. And operationally, if everything's going right, then the ride looks like it's dueling at times, where the trains cross paths in various areas. That is just so cool from a design standpoint. It also helps that this ride has probably the most messed up theme ever. I cannot get over how psychologically warped and twisted this theme is. And if you ever listen to the soundtrack, I mean, just everything about this ride, from presentation to ride experience, they just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Which brings us to our number 1 spot, which is back at HANSA Park, the same park that has FLUCH von Novgorod at the number 3 spot. But taking number 1 is SCHWUR des KÄRNAN, or for short, just KARNAN. And this might be one of the craziest roller coasters in the world. For one, it is absolutely massive. It stands over 200 feet in the air. The lift hill and first drop is completely enclosed, so you are in pitch darkness. And then once you actually go outside, you have a compact, tight layout that is also very, very intense. And like the Smiler, it has an amazing theme. The build up to this ride is incredible. And KARNAN also has a couple tricks up its sleeve, which also really add to the experience. Unfortunately, this is not the smoothest ride. Be prepared for that. But in my opinion, the layout and design of this ride more than makes up for it, which is why it is my personal favorite roller coaster by Gerstlauer. As I mentioned earlier, this is just my opinion, strictly based off of the Gerstlauers that I have ridden. There's obviously several others that I'd love to experience at some point. But I'd love to hear from all of you what you think of some of the rides on this list. If you agree with the points that I've made, if you're new to the channel, I'd love if you could subscribe. We do countdowns for all sorts of topics relating to the amusement industry. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.